The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and guests and are not necessarily those of WPSL. WPSL does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WPSL. It's time now to check your indoor air quality as WPSL presents Speedy on Call with Speedy Air Conditioning Service. Call in now with your HVAC questions at 340-1590. Now, here's your host.
Good morning. It's Dave and Sharon here from Speedy Air Conditioning, and the program is Speedy on Call. Speedy Air is a full-service air conditioning company. We do installation, service, maintenance, indoor air quality products, and we cover the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hope Sound. This morning, we've been talking about different topics the last few weeks. Maintenance, installations, a lot of detail information. And today we wanted to ask you to call in at the station here with any of your air conditioning questions. And specifically, I was really hoping to get callers to call in if they've had a good experience with an air conditioning contractor, because some of the things we've talked about are being careful and not getting ripped off, and that there is different qualities and levels and experiences of contractors out there, and I'd like to focus a little bit on the positive and see if anybody's had a positive experience. You've got an air conditioning guy that just did a great job, whether it's service or installation. Just call in and let us know, and we might even mention their name on the air. I don't mind doing that. It's always kudos to those that are doing well. But on the other hand, if you've had a really bad experience, we'd like to hear about that too, because we say it here on the air that you can have a bad experience, and we know from our experiences talking to customers we've dealt with that there's many of them out there that have. But if you've had a bad experience, we won't mention the contractor on the air or the person, but just share that with us so that our listeners know that what's happening out there. So we welcome you to call into the station either with your air conditioning question, with positive reviews on any air conditioning contractor, and if you've had a really bad experience, please let us know. You can reach us here at 772-340-1590. I also wanted to mention, I say it every show a few times, we are a full-service company, and we deal with different manufacturers. We do have some manufacturer rebates still on for new air conditioning systems. There's some FPL rebate if you're a qualifying customer, but one of my manufacturers, the rebate program ends at the end of this month. There's still a little bit time to get in on that, and they're also offering 0% financing if you're in the market for a new system. One of my other manufacturers, their programs are ending June the 15th, so you have a little bit of time left if you're thinking about getting it, trying to get a good deal. There's still a little bit of time to get in on that, and you can call our office to book an appointment or ask questions. Or after I'm off the air, I'm happy to talk to the folks back there. And that number is 772-871-1560.
And do manufacturers typically run specials in the summer, or are they just so busy that they kind of wait till later?
No, you'll find with most manufacturer programs that they start usually in March, April, May, and typically by the end of May, they're pretty well done. And obviously, it's a slower. The winter and spring is a slower time of year for manufacturers, so they're trying to stimulate business.
Do they do something again, like in the fall, winter time?
Yeah, typically, once you get to about September, September, middle or late September, manufacturer programs can start again then, and some programs. But during the heart of the season, when it's very hot out, sales are up anyways, and the manufacturers recognize that, and they're going to. That's when they're going to take the profit, and typically, that's when you're not going to get a good deal from it.
Is air conditioning like washing machines and dryers? There's new models every year. Are there new things that come out, or pretty much does it go like
I would
last year's model? We want to clear them out because the new ones are coming.
Not really. It's more like cars. If you look at a new model on a car cycle, it's usually 4 to 6 years.
Okay.
You can,
or if they have breakthrough technology or something?
Yeah. Well, with air conditioning, technology has improved. Efficiency ratings have gone up, considerably over the years. But a new model, like an actual new model run, is usually there's a few years in between the new model run. And a lot of times what they're doing is they'll make minor changes to sort of like the basic units, but they have new, whether it's two-stage or variable speed models, there's new technology coming out there, and they're always trying to get the efficiency levels up. Now we're into the mid 25 SEER range with residential air conditioning. Although that represents the most expensive part of the market, the efficiency ranges, from years ago have gone from literally like 8 or 10 SEER at the very high end to into the 20s now. So
now, if you have a large home, does a large home benefit from that more so than a smaller home?
Yes,
that efficiency?
Your energy consumption is higher on a larger home all
Sure.
the time.
Yeah.
So yes, the energy dollars saved is going to also be larger the higher the efficiency of the unit that you have, for sure.
Great.
So again, we welcome your calls, and we're looking for callers to call in with any air conditioning question to the station here today at 340-1590. We'd be happy to answer those questions for you, whether they're in respect to service, maintenance, installation. And also, we'd like to hear from the listeners if you've had a good experience, if you want to say, hey, I had a contractor, I've been dealing with them, they do a great job for me. Call and let us know if you've ever given a review online to a contractor. And on the other hand, if you've had a very negative experience, call us and let us know too. It's important that our callers know that there is good and bad out there, and not just that we're saying it because we see it out there.
Well, then it helps people to know what to watch out for.
Yeah, well, if your system is got a problem, it's not cooling or whatever, and somebody comes in, doesn't really do a thorough examination, and immediately tells you need to replace your system. That's a bit of a red flag. It may be the case, but in many circumstances, it's not the case. I've been out, and I know my technician's been out as a second opinion on numerous times, and we've walked in, and it's a simple repair. Something very minor that's wrong, and once it's fixed, the system is back up and running. Now, if the system is genuinely in very poor condition and very tired, then we certainly will recommend, considering getting an estimate to replace the system. But, we see too often where it's just the standard, very little work is done, very little diagnostic is done, and the diagnostic is basically you need to replace your system. So, just be careful of that. The other thing that we see out there, and I think I mentioned that I think I actually brought up an example last week on the show, but I saw it again this week. I'm actually going out to see somebody this afternoon, and they had somebody out, and the mold word is thrown around everywhere. And when that
that's
starts
the last thing you want to hear, though, about your house.
It is the last thing you want to hear.
Yeah.
But it's basically thrown out there to put a little fear in the customer and get them to react. And it's a bad tactic to take. And I will see when I get there, but my experience has been that very rarely is there this mold issue that has been presented to the homeowner and that they're fearful of now.
Right. Well, there's a huge difference between a little cleanup versus you need a whole new system.
Yes. And it's not uncommon. We mentioned it again on the show last week. It's not uncommon, especially if your air handler is located in a garage, that it could sweat. You have a hot, humid garage. You have 55, 60-degree air coming through your duct system, and that temperature difference is going to create a little condensation both on the cabinet of the air conditioner and on your ductwork. So you can get some mildew building up there, which is easily cleaned off with any mildew cleaner, Lysol, a good degreaser. We'll take that off of there, and it's not inside the ductwork. It's very rare that you get.
It's at that point where it was sweating.
That's right.
Okay.
It's sweating outside. It's not sweating inside. And customers are led to believe, homeowners are led to believe that this is everywhere, and there's a big health risk, and if we don't take care of this immediately.
Right, and I'm sure they cringe every time their air turns on thinking that it's getting spread all over the house.
Yeah, it's blowing on them.
So when I arrive, there's this fear going on, and they think they have this immediate need to do something, or themselves and their whole household is going to become ill. And it's unfortunate, but we see that on a pretty regular basis. So those are two big things to look out for. The fear tactics are not a good business practice, but they're very common out there. And it's no secret, in any industry, whether it's retail anywhere, that fear is the biggest motivator to purchase.
Well, look at insurance. It's the only reason
Yes.
why we buy insurance.
That's right.
Because
Yes.
in the back of our mind, we're afraid something's going to happen.
Exactly.
And why do you
Yes.
think there's a new sale on at the retail stores every day or every week? It's because you see this thing and it's like a half of a half, and it's like, if I don't get it today, I won't have it tomorrow. And it's when you really analyze it, it's fear that's making you buy that, because
Right.
it's a fear of losing that sale.
Right.
Sale.
Right.
That
But that's-
bonus of saving money.
That's all I'm
Then
gonna
you feel like you've won something.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody likes a bargain. And
That's
everybody
true.
thinks, you bought it, you got the deal, and it feels really good. Sure.
Yeah.
But again, we're just, if you just tuned in, it's Speedy on call with Speedy Air Conditioning. We are a full-service contractor in Port St. Lucie. And, pardon me?
Do you want to take a break?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not yet. In a minute.
Okay.
We're a full-service contractor in Port St. Lucie, Florida. We cover the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hope Sound. And if you have any air conditioning needs, whether it's maintenance, repair, or if you're considering a new system, there's still some manufacturer rebates on, but some of them end next week and some of them end in June. They have 0% financing. We'd be happy to look at that for you and give you an estimate, but you have to act soon. You can reach our office at 772-871-1560, and now we're going to go to a commercial break.
All right. We'll be back with more Speedy on Call here on WPSL.
You're listening to Speedy on Call with the experts of Speedy Air Conditioning Service here on WPSL. Call in with your questions, 340-1590. Now, back to your host.
Hey everyone, this is I'm Sharon. I'm here with Dave. We're with Speedy on Call, and we're with Speedy AC Service. We offer installations, repairs, and maintenance. We're full service, and we also service the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hobe Sound. And today we're wanting people to call in if they've had a really good experience with a contractor. They just want to share that with us, or have a bad experience also if they want to share that, because that will also help us learn something. Maybe we could pass on along to our technicians, even if it's a way to approach a customer or whatever. So, just give us a call here at the studio at 340-1590. Back to you, Dave.
Thanks, Sharon. And any general air conditioning question that you have, we're happy to discuss that with you and see if we can answer your question. Now, one of the things that we have talked about on past shows is when it comes to installation, how, and you may have heard this, that the most important day of your installation is, or of your new system, is the day it was installed. And the reason is because you can put in the best quality equipment, the top-rated equipment in the world. If it's not installed correctly, it's not going to operate the way it was designed to operate. You typically will have problems in both. You're not going to get the rated efficiency, and in possible breakdowns down the road. And that's one of the things that we have talked about on the show before, and it really boils down to the knowledge of the contractor you're dealing with, the knowledge of the employees that they have working there. And I know we mentioned on an earlier show, but just wanted to mention that in the state of Florida, the requirement for an air conditioning company is that one person is licensed. It's almost always the owner of the company. So the owner goes and writes a state license and becomes certified. Once they pass that state license, they get their certification from the state, and then they can hire anybody to do the work. And I know myself as a business owner, and as holding a state license and having interviewed many people over the years to hire potential employees, that the pool of qualified people out there is very slim, and it's almost alarming And one of the things, like I get a lot of trade magazines and organizations I belong to, and it seems like one of the biggest topics in these magazines all the time is finding qualified help to do the work. And we've taken a position at Speedy that we actually train new employees. We try to hire everybody right out of a technical trade school, so that they have the technical background, and they have the theory behind air conditioning, electrical, and troubleshooting and installation. And then we train them we have them work with a licensed person that has experience, and then they get trained in the way Speedy Air Conditioning does an installation, so that we call it the Speedy way. We joke about it a little bit, but there is a way of doing it. There's a way of doing it right, and there's a way of doing it. There's many ways to do it wrong.
Yeah, I always say there's the right way, and then there's someone's personal way.
And we say there's the right way, and then there's the Speedy way. But and not that we're perfect, and
sometimes doing things the right way is a little bit harder. So you have to get the person who's willing to go that extra mile.
It's not that it's harder, but it takes longer.
It takes longer.
It takes longer. There's steps in any process, and if you follow the steps correctly, you have a really good quality installation. If you cut corners, you run the risk of having problems down the road.
So what would you say would be an average time for an install? We put in a lot, but the average time. So a customer gets somebody to come out, a different company, and they say, "Oh, we can do this in 2 hours." Is that really realistic?
No.
To get it done right.
Something is missing. But
I would be expecting to have you guys at my house all day.
At
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
all day.
yeah, so again, there's different skill levels. Some guys have been doing it a long time and they're a little faster, but to cover all the steps, a guy's gonna be there, or a crew's going to be there, usually 5, 6, 7 hours. If somebody's done in 3 or 4 hours, I'd be very skeptical unless it's a super easy installation. I'd be skeptical that something's not hasn't been done, or
Right,
something's
because the
missing,
process takes a certain amount of time.
Absolutely.
And what's a super easy installation?
Well,
I would think the technician would want an easy installation.
yes,
Exactly.
yes.
That would help.
What's the difference?
Well, I can tell you, the easier installations are those that are installed like in what we call it a vertical application. So if the air handler is sitting in a garage or a closet, it's a little easier. If it's in an attic,
Yeah, I would think,
it takes an extra couple hours.
I would think
working
crawling
out.
around in the attic would be one of the reasons it'd be hard to find a good guy to take the job.
Yeah, and this time of year it gets tougher and tougher in the attic, and some attics are. From attic to attic, you can get a 120-degree attic and you can get a 100-degree attic. Neither one of them are fun.
No.
But and then some are, your hands and knees, and
Sure.
then some you're able to stand
Yeah,
up.
and then there's the insulation and the wiring and the equipment and
all the
everything's
stuff that's
squished
in the
into
way.
the yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes the trusses, the way they're designed, are in
I'm
the
sure
way.
it's not very light in there either.
No, and well, some of them are lit very well, but some of them are very dingy and very dirty, and like a lot of insulation, and you're sweating, and it's a very difficult.
No, it doesn't
process.
sound like fun.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to be up there. But whether it's an attic installation or what we call a vertical installation, there's particular steps required from the installers to do a proper installation, and then there's certain code requirements, including pulling the permit and actually having it inspected, and then there's code requirements that once it's inspected, the inspectors are looking for to make sure that the installation has been done correctly. So those are all important. And
Do manufacturers have much to say about who they do business with? I mean, when you become a representative of a specific company, do they take that, how you install their product, into consideration at all?
That's a great question, Veronica. And some manufacturers take it more serious than others. So certain manufacturers are more selective on who they allow to be dealers, and and I'm not even going to say the manufacturer, because it boils down, like the manufacturers, we don't buy directly from the manufacturer. There's wholesalers that carry different brands of products. And some wholesalers are more stringent on who they allow to be their dealer or, of a particular brand or not. And there's usually two qualifiers. Are you licensed what's your reputation look like online? Do you have 2-star reviews, or do you have 4 or 5-star reviews? And some are very particular that way. The other thing is obviously financially. They want to make sure that they do a background check, they do a financial background check that you can pay your bills. So that's important to wholesalers. But certain manufacturers are require their wholesalers to do this check. And then there's different levels of contractor that you can achieve. Like with a couple of the brands that we carry, they actually invite you to participate in additional programs, which give you additional benefits as a contractor.
They teach you their product then.
Yes, and with that program, you actually receive. They do independent mailers to customers, soliciting reviews on you as a contractor.
Okay.
And we have 2 manufacturers that we participate in that, and we receive a lot of feedback, a lot of reviews, and I'm very thankful that our reviews are always in the at least 4, and usually they're the 5-star range, out of 5. So that's very positive for us. It's positive for our staff, and then obviously folks that are looking to purchase from a company, when they see the 5-star reviews, it's very positive for them.
Sure.
There's a little
That's
more
what I look
confidence. There's a little more confidence, and I even when I'm talking to folks, and I know sometimes they're getting 2, 3, 4 estimates, I tell them, just make sure you do your due diligence. Check whoever you're dealing with, that they don't have a bunch of negative reviews on the Better Business Bureau or online. Check with Google, check with Yelp, check with the different organizations that you can get reviews from, and just make sure that you're not getting into a bad scenario.
Right.
Because folks will go online and rate you, and for better or for worse. And we're very thankful that we've maintained a very high rating on all those sites, and I think it's partly because of the focus that we have on doing things right, and it's customer service and satisfaction is just very important to us. And when that's important to you, you go about your business function that way.
I'm the kind of person who hates to do things twice. I like to do it right, try to do it right the first time, so that I don't have to do it a second time. Because in business, that could be costly.
Absolutely.
Having to go back and fix things that shouldn't have gone wrong.
It's terribly costly. And from just a purely business standpoint, nobody wants to have a callback, because now you're sending somebody back, and it's typically for free. So that you want to avoid that at all cost. But the other part of that is when you have callbacks, when you have a good relationship with a customer, usually they're okay with that because they understand not everything's perfect.
Right.
But if you have a lot of that, customers lose confidence in you, and a good business client relationship is built on trust and doing things right the first time, and being honest and all that type of thing. And if you lose that, you lose credibility, you lose customer trust, and you lose business, and it's not where we want to be.
Right, because people are going to tell their neighbors.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
And their friends.
Yeah.
We get a lot of referrals from past customers, and that's a huge positive thing for us. So just if you've tuned in, this is Speedy on Call. It's Dave and Sharon from Speedy Air Conditioning. We'd be happy to field your air conditioning questions. We are located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, and we cover the Treasure Coast from
Vero Beach
from Vero
to
Beach,
Hope
that place
Sound.
called Vero Beach, down to Hope Sound. We're also asking if anybody's had a really positive experience with a contractor, call in, let us know. Or if you've had a negative experience, call in and let us know. The lines are very quiet today, so there's lots of room to call in at the station, 340-1590. Don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. We are a full-service company, and I just wanted to mention again that we have rebate programs from certain manufacturers that are ending next week, and some that are ending in
June.
June. Yeah, middle of June. And there's both rebates and 0% financing available if you're at all in the market to get an energy-efficient air conditioning system.
Yeah,
So,
capitalize on those rebates. Every little bit helps.
Yeah.
You can use that money for something else.
Yep. And as we mentioned earlier, once you get into the middle of the summer, if your system does break down, you're going to miss out on that. And typically, there's no deals to be had in the summertime. This is still where the deals can be had, but they will be ending soon. So
Yeah, in the summertime you get your system goes down, so you get hot, you get frustrated, and then you're not saving money.
Yep. And
Do it now.
You can call the office. They can book an appointment for myself to come out. I normally go out and do the estimates, or my partner Jeff. But Jeff is actually on vacation starting today, so he's not available for about a week.
Okay.
But you can reach the office at 772-871-1560, or go on SpeedyACService.com. You can book an appointment there, fill out a request card right online. And we'd be happy to take care of your needs.
I was on the internet the other day, and a pop-up came up for you guys. I was like, oh, look, there's Speedy.
Yeah, I like that.
And I went, how do you do that? I don't even know how you get that done.
Google's tracking all that stuff.
You know, I like that, and I don't like that. But, you know, like when I do it, you know, I'm looking for certain items, and some other companies obviously use that same marketing. I think it's called remarketing. So if you've been on the site, then it sort of follows you around and reminds you that you've been on that site. But I've actually remembered to do things because I've seen that pop up as, oh yeah, I needed to do that thing, and then I actually click on the link, and I go to the site and I get it done. You know, but the marketing these days has become very sophisticated with the internet, and there's good and bad about that. But, you know, all depending on what your perspective is.
Usually I don't know the pop-up, though. I mean, this one was like, oh, cool.
I know that one.
Yeah. I get them, too, the insurance ones, the automobile reminders, all kinds of things. But
yeah, mostly the one that was for go back to school, grant money's available.
Oh, really?
That one, I always get that one, yeah.
Not going back to school.
I bought it was actually a used vehicle. It's almost 2 years ago now, and I'm still getting phone calls and emails about buying an extended warranty. You know,
okay.
And it's almost been 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm finding it hard to believe. I don't know where they harvest the information from, but it's interesting.
It's still in there somewhere.
Speaking of warranties, we do offer a labor warranty to attach to your manufacturer's parts warranty.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sharon. We do offer on all new systems up to 10-year labor warranty. It's not that much of an additional expense, and it gives you the peace of mind for a full 10 years.
And your AC unit has to be less than 2 years old?
That's correct, yeah. We do have a caller. It's Pete that we got on the line. Welcome to Speedy on Call, Pete. How can we help you?
Yeah, I know you're looking for experiences, but I got a question about efficiency.
Sure.
Now, we're getting a lot of noise from the background, so speak up.
Oh, yeah, it's raining pretty good out here.
Okay.
So that's the raindrops on the windshield you're hearing.
That's rain. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's really coming down on 95 in Fort Pierce.
Wow.
Okay, so I got a system that's not matched, but the units are compatible. You know, it's the right size, but they're not the same brand and everything. But my question comes from things like gases. I just got a $300 electric bill, and it's only May. The only thing we can see different would be the use of the AC. Now, we've lived in this house for 2 years, and we've never seen the bill quite that high. I got to let you go. A car just flipped over. I got to let you go. Bye.
Okay, well, let's be careful out there.
Wow. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I saw a car
I think I saw the same one.
run off the road in front of me on the way down here
Yeah,
today.
it happens.
Yeah.
People,
Get off your
I
cell
always say
phones.
people fall off 95. It's that hydroplane situation.
Yeah.
It's
That's right.
always 95.
When it rains that hard, you got to slow down. Thanks for calling in, Pete. And just to answer the question, when you see an increase in your electric bill that dramatically, when it's $300 a month and it's been lower, we've had some warm weather, but it hasn't been summer hot. And if the air conditioner is the largest draw in the house, I would have it checked. It's a pretty easy check to take an amp draw on a air conditioner, and an amp draw basically tells you how much energy it's consuming. And when you do that, you can tell if something's out. Every motor and the compressor on the system has a electrical rating from the manufacturer, so there's a range in which it's rated to run. If it's outside of that range, and typically it's going to be high, that means there's a problem with a motor or a compressor. And you can have a motor or compressor that's drawing high amperage and using additional energy and obviously driving up your energy bill.
Without running extra, like would you notice that it's turning on more often or anything like that, or it's just drawing more power?
It can draw more power just under normal operation. And if that's not the case, then I would start checking other electrical appliances in the home to see if there's something that is drawing additional energy. 'Cause refrigerator,
water heater.
Water heater,
Oh,
like
yeah. The
anything that
expensive
has,
items.
Yeah.
specifically things that are on the, there's in your breaker panel, there's
They're on their own
single pole
breaker.
breakers, and there's doubles.
Yeah.
The things that are on double typically draw more energy.
Okay.
And those are the things I would be checking first. But good call. I'm hoping you caught the end of that, Pete, and I'm hoping you're out of harm's way with that
Those other people are
accident
okay.
on 95.
Right.
So we are looking for callers to call in at the station here, 340-1590. If you've had with any air conditioning question, it doesn't have to be a good or bad experience, but specifically today we were hoping folks would call in and tell us about any good experience they've had and just wanted to say kudos to a particular contractor, or if they've had bad experiences or they've experienced the fear tactics we've talked about earlier. I've talked to many people who have had a contractor servicing their equipment, and as time goes on, they tell me that it seems like every time they come out, there's something wrong, and they're trying to sell them something. And there is certain contractors that subscribe to a business model where they have what they call selling techs, and the selling tech will come out, and part of the tech's compensation as far as what their wage is a percentage of what they sell. So if they can sell you stuff, then they get a percentage of everything they sell. We don't subscribe to that business model because I think it's a poor motivator for a tech. We want our techs to do the right thing. We want them to be honest with people and not just to come out with the mindset that if I sell somebody something today, I'm going to make more money. We don't think that's the motivator should be, Mrs. Jones, if Mrs. Jones says I got an allergy problem or whatever, we can go over options that could help that. But not going out and saying, I think you need this,
Right.
And I think you should buy this, So, we want to meet the needs of homeowners or make them aware of what's available, and then be able to, meet that need.
Now, Pete said something about it not matching. Does that happen? He means the indoor unit and the outdoor unit aren't
correct.
maybe
They don't match.
the same manufacturer, or
Yeah, that's a great question, Veronica. We do have another caller. Let's answer that question after we take care of this caller. So we have Pi on the line, and welcome to Speedy on Call. How can we help you, Pi?
Yes, normal freon consumption within a year. Every year we get unit serviced, and that this year was 2 pounds of usage. Since we've lived in this house, we've gone through 2 units and a coil. We've lived there since '98. I'm just curious on, could there be a leak in the wall, or is this normal consumption?
There can be a leak anywhere, whether it's the indoor coil, the outdoor coil, or the line sets. The line sets are sometimes harder to diagnose because a lot of them run either through the attic or under the ground. But there is ways to test it. We have sort of a 3-step process that we use to test for lines. And, the first is with an electronic leak detector to see if we can sniff a leak. And the second would be by putting a dye in the system to see if you can visibly see where it's leaking out. And then the third would be where we isolate the system. So we isolate the outdoor unit, the indoor section, and the line sets, and we pressure test each one separately to see if we can determine where the leak is. And those are the steps that we typically follow. And if you're adding refrigerant on an annual basis, you do have a leak because this is a closed system. An air conditioning system, when it's properly installed, all the weld joints are good, the material's good. You should not have a leak unless a leak develops in a coil or in the joint somewhere down the line. So it's a sealed system, and we take out air conditioners that are 12, 15 years old, and they've never had refrigerant put in because it's not normal.
you don't use it. It doesn't go away
Mm-hmm.
unless it's leaking, right? Or it wasn't, or someone might be taking it.
Yeah, I've heard they do that.
Do you have locking caps on your valve covers?
No, but I'm a contractor, so I mean,
Do that.
I'm around systems that are all the time that, I'm like, these people are getting 10, 15 years out of their system, and, our system's getting 6 to 8 years at max. And we'll get regular maintenance. I change filter every 45 days, check the condensate lines. I just I'm religious about certain things. So for the coils to be failing like this, I'm thinking to myself, there has to be a leak somewhere. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
So your system's only about 6 or 8 years old, and you're having to replace it?
Well, yeah, we've literally, since 98, with a brand new system in 98, they had to replace a coil within the first 4 years, and then we've gone through 2 full units, compressors and air handlers since 98. So basically in a 20-year period, we've gone through 2 full units and coil.
Yeah. Are you close to the ocean, Pi?
No, actually, but the line set runs through the wall. So, I mean, and I've mentioned it, but I don't think anyone's taken, I'd even be willing to cut my wall open or have a new set of lines ran. It's only 6 feet from the air handlers in the garage.
Right. Yeah, it's always a possibility. And the other thing, we had a customer just this week that we put a system in 2 years ago, and 3 weeks ago the system wasn't working, and the refrigerant was leaking out. So we did test it. We couldn't find a leak, and then we put the dye in. And my tech went back early this week, and we found dye leaking out down through the chase where the refrigerant line goes up the wall. And when we took the cover off, we found he just had some siding done. And when they put the soffit on, they ran a screw through the line.
Oh, no.
And, that's why the dye was showing up at the bottom. It actually ran down the line and was coming out through the bottom, but you couldn't really see it until everything was exposed. So, if you've had construction done on your home,
this has been the same since day one. But I know exactly. Like I said, I'm an electrician, so I ask people when they call me up with a short. I said, "Do you hang any pictures or anything recently along this area?"
Yep.
Same thing happens. I mean, they put a nail through. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen it on electrical lines, plumbing lines. They're all susceptible if you're using screws or nails or whatever.
Oh, no.
Well, I might have someone come out and take a look at the line set that's going in through the walls, or, like I said, maybe even have them test, like you said, with isolating the system would work very well.
Yes, okay. Yeah. If you need some help with that, Pi, just give us a call at the office there, and we'd be happy to work with you.
And that number is 772-871-1560.
Oh, will do. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. So,
yeah, I only know about Freon because we had a little Freon shortage at our house, and I Googled and I read all about it to find out everything that I could find out, and lo and behold, you don't use Freon. It's a closed system, and it shouldn't go away.
That's correct. Yeah. if you're losing refrigerant on a regular basis, there's a leak someplace. Mm-hmm. And a good percentage of the time, the leak can be repaired if it's an accessible location or on a joint that's weldable. If it's inside the coils, coils are very difficult to replace, or not replace, to repair, because the material that the coils are made out of is extremely thin. To get efficiency, the material's thin to get heat transfer. That's how they get efficiency.
That's how it works then.
Yeah. So, and as soon as you apply heat to them to weld them, a lot of times they just sort of fall apart because the material's so thin.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be extremely talented and careful to be able to weld it. And a lot of times you have to cut all the fins out of the way to get to it. And now the fins are gone, and the air is going to bite. You get into a scenario where it's not worth it.
Right.
So. But, any air conditioning system is a closed system. It's not something that evaporates or, somehow dissipates, and you have to add refrigerant on a regular basis.
Yes, you're not using it up.
That's correct.
Because refrigerant is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And because refrigerant is expensive, I only know because of experience that ours was being taken. I don't know.
That it just blows my mind.
But it happens.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things why you should have the maintenance and have somebody come out and find out, make sure that you're okay.
Yep.
And love that idea of locking it.
That's why the state code changed a few years back to be able to put locking caps on the valves. So that you have to have a special tool to take them off so nobody steals it.
Okay, right.
We've got Pete on the line. I don't know if that's the same Pete that we had before.
Yeah, it sure is.
Oh, hope everything's okay.
The police got here, and Toyota flipped just north of Midway on 95.
Oh, wow.
So back to the efficiencies, and I heard you guys talking a little bit about gases when I got back in the truck, and that was my question. How do I know if gases are mixed or if they're the right gas, the number? Is that going to affect my efficiency in my bill?
It could, yeah. Like if you've got the wrong refrigerant or mixed refrigerant in your system, absolutely could affect the operation, because you're not going to get the same capacity with the wrong refrigerant as with the right refrigerant in your system. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of any field method to test what refrigerant you have in your system. What we normally go by is the rating plate on the equipment, which tells you what refrigerant should be used with the equipment. Okay.
But we don't know if that's really what's in it or not, because I got to be honest, I know the people that matched it together, and I don't trust that they're real AC people. They're more property management people that think they know what AC does. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there is. If you're not sure, the only remedy would really be to remove the refrigerant that's in there now and put the correct refrigerant in. There's a process to that, because you do have to evacuate the lines and make sure that they're clean and dry, and then you can introduce a new refrigerant. But
sounds like an expensive process.
It won't be the cheapest thing in the world, because we were just talking about refrigerants, and I was just about to mention how refrigerant prices have just gone up again, even with the 410A, because there's a shortage of the R124, which is an agent that goes into making all refrigerants, and there's a shortage globally right now of that. And our refrigerant price, even on 410A, has doubled in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
And we have no control over that, and that's really China, because China's the producer of that. And
didn't they lose a plant or something?
Yeah, blew up.
Yeah. I didn't know if anybody knew that, but yeah, they lost a plant. So now they're pulling from other resources, and there's just a shortage globally to all the manufacturers that actually chemically produce the refrigerants. So, the other thing that we'd want to consider, and I don't know, when your air handler or the system was replaced, but I think you said you have a different brand of air handler from the condensing unit. And, although that shouldn't affect efficiency, as long as they're both matched for the same refrigerant, you typically won't get the full rated efficiency with a different air handler than what the condensing unit's rated for, but you should get close,
I think they're just different companies. I think the ratings are fine. I called up and talked to somebody at one of the shops, and they said that the numbers seem to match right, so it's probably gases, and I was curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah. Now, you said it's been sort of a recent thing that your energy bills have been higher, right?
Correct.
And was it recent since the equipment was installed or serviced or anything done to it?
No, it's really just been since the season started again. Last season they just didn't seem that high. I mean, I got some 270 bills last season, but that was dead summer, not May.
Right. Yeah, and the things that you probably didn't catch, we did answer your question in respect to energy increase, or like a sudden energy increase. What I'd be looking for is a compressor or motors that are drawing high amperage above what the rating is on the system. And every system has a rating plate on it. It gives you a parameter within what that amperage should be. And like for argument's sake, if it says 10 amps on the rating plate and you're drawing 16 amps, you're drawing 50% more energy. And that's going to drive up your energy bill. So normally my technicians, that's something they check on every maintenance call. They want to make sure that it's within factory spec, and if it's not, then they want to make the homeowner aware that there's something going on with the motor, and you could have there's a potential there for a burnout or a problem in the near future.
So you guys on a regular maintenance call would be checking all these questions I'm asking?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'd be checking the amperage, the pressures, and if you have a blend of refrigerants in your system, a lot of times you're going to get fluctuation on your gauges, or you're going to get an improper pressure reading on your gauges. So, like not within the manufacturer's spec, but the electrical is always checked on every call. We want to make sure those motors are running within the parameters. And if they're not, then we need to take steps to or make you aware that that's the problem. If it's not the air conditioner, then I'd be looking for other large energy-consuming appliances in the home that could also be drawing high amps and driving up your electric bill.
Okay, right on. I'll give the call a shop and have set up maintenance.
Appreciate that, Pete.
Okay, that number is 772-871-1560, Speedy AC.
Thanks, guys.
Bye now.
Be safe out there. It's dumping.
Yeah, he's in quite the rainstorm out there. But yeah, your refrigerator, I guess the motor is similar, right, to the air conditioner? It's
Yeah, the
an
compressor's
electric
a much
motor.
smaller. It's a much smaller. The refrigerator is 110 volts. So it's
Okay.
it's a regular like a wall
Yeah.
outlet where the air conditioner runs off a 240 volt, which is it needs more energy to run.
Sure.
And it draws more energy.
Okay, so now if you came out to his house and you found out that it is drawing more power than it's supposed to be, does that mean that it's going?
Yeah.
Okay.
If a motor's
It
drawing high
can't-
amperage, it's on its way out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on its way out. It's going to go, and then you can replace it. If it's a compressor, then it's a bit of a different scenario because compressors are expensive to replace. Now, if it's still under warranty, you're still going to
Okay.
have to pay labor and refrigerant
Right.
and everything else. But it's obviously a lot cheaper than paying for the compressor itself because that's the most expensive component you can replace on an air conditioner.
Okay.
So, and just to remind you, we're getting close to the top of the hour, but we still have some room to take calls. This is Speedy on Call with Speedy Air Conditioning. We are a full-service air conditioning company servicing the Treasure Coast from Vero Beach down to Hobe Sound. We also do air conditioning replacement with energy efficient air conditioning systems. And I just wanted to let you know for a final time, we do have some manufacturer rebates and 0% financing programs through these manufacturers, but a lot of those are ending May 31st, and some are ending June the 15th. So if you're at all interested in getting an estimate on a new system, or you have questions about that, give our office a call at 772-871-1560. We'd be happy to answer your questions, or I can answer them when I get back to the office, or you can set up an appointment for a free in-home estimate, and then you'll know exactly what you're looking at. If you are in need of maintenance or service, you can also give our office a call. We'd be happy to set that up for you. Now, you had asked a question earlier, Veronica, that we didn't quite get to. And I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, I was good with the question the first time around, but I'm not sure which question it was.
I don't know.
We were going to go to the call. I think it was the mismatched, the two units not matching.
Okay.
But I think you covered that with Pete.
I think we sort of covered that. So, So we get these questions, and I think it sort of helps helps folks to understand that air conditioning is not that simple. Like it's not that cut and dry, and that there are there's a knowledge level that's required to both service, maintain, and install systems that is very important with any company you choose to deal with. And that's why, at Speedy Air Conditioning, we've just, we make it important. We have a checklist on every installation, every maintenance call that our team goes through, and to make sure that they've covered all the bases, that everything's been done correctly. Even if you are, once you have a system installed, if you look at the manufacturer literature, there's actually a setup sheet that the manufacturer provides. Now, we incorporate that into our installation sheet, but every manufacturer is really looking for equipment to be set up to meet factory spec. We hear all too often that, the guys came out, they installed it, and they were gone. And unfortunately, one of the most important parts of that installation is setting it up at the end of installation. Because if your fan speed is not correct, if the refrigerant charge is not correct, then it's not going to operate at the rated efficiency.
Okay.
And wouldn't that null the parts warranty from that manufacturer if it's not installed correctly? Or
Well,
no?
only if the manufacturer knew. But nobody's going to call them up and say, "Hey, I didn't install this right."
Right.
But the thing is, the assumption is it's put in and it's going to run to manufacturer spec. But we have to recognize that the location of every air handler and every unit outside is not the same. Sometimes it's a 10-foot line between them, and then you're going to have actually too much refrigerant in the system. And sometimes it's a 60 or 70-foot line. Now we have to add refrigerant to the system to get it to the right level so that it operates at the optimal efficiency. Also, when the setup's being done, if the fan, because not every duct system is the same.
Okay.
So a lot of times the fan speed has to be trimmed to meet the duct system. So when you're doing both of those correctly, there's actually a chart that comes on every single air conditioner, and both your pressures and your temperatures will fall within the range that is showing on the chart. Now you know you're running at optimal efficiency. Without going through that step, you could be losing 5, 10, 15% efficiency with a brand new unit. You know?
Okay.
And now your 16 SEER unit's running like a 13 or 14 SEER unit,
And
who
you're
knows
not
how long
saving
it's
any.
gonna run like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
You know?
okay.
So, we do get a lot of positive feedback from customers that we've had in. I was out to see a guy yesterday, and he was telling me how much energy they're saving from their old system, and I always like to hear that because I know that it's been set up correctly and they're running at optimal efficiency, and that's extremely important.
So if you do update, you should see something on your bill then. You
Yes.
should see that savings.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, if your system is more than 10 years old, unless you put in a really, really high-end system 10 years ago, but in most cases that's not. Most older systems are somewhere between 10 and 12 SEER, and for every SEER improvement, you should see roughly 5, 6, as much as 7% energy savings.
Wow,
So
okay.
if you're going from like an 11 SEER to a 16 SEER, typically you should be saving around 30% on your energy consumption for your air conditioner.
Wow.
And that.
So if you've got a 10-year-old system and you're really wasting that money, and you're kind of toward the end of the life of your system anyway,
You should think about replacing
getting it checked, it
yeah,
would
and that's
be
what
Check.
if you take advantage of like a 0% finance program, and your monthly payment is $100 a month,
right.
and you're saving $30-$40 a month on your energy bill.
Why not get a new system?
Your
Yeah.
monthly payment's only $60 a month, and most people can afford that because they're already getting the energy saving. Plus,
And there's peace of mind having a new
Brand new
you got a
system.
full
system.
warranty. You got
Yeah,
a full
full
warranty.
warranty.
You don't have to worry about a large repair bill
Warranty
in the
for
next
parts.
while. Where with an older system, you're always running the risk of that repair bill.
And who knows, it may chug along and cost you more money before it actually goes out.
Yeah, we see that pretty frequently where, we go back a year later and the customer said, geez, I really should have replaced it last year. I had 2 repairs since then. I put an extra $500 or $600 into the thing, and if I would have replaced it last year, I got the energy saving, I would have had the warranty.
Yeah, I would have.
I would have peace of mind.
Hindsight's
But
20/20, right?
It is 20/20. And sometimes people, it's difficult for them to afford it, but if you're all in the market, give us a call, 772-871-1560 at Speedy Air Conditioning. We'd be happy to work with you, give you a free estimate before these rebates run out. We'd be happy to be your contractor or earn your business. It's
Great.
what we do.
Visit online.
You can find us online at speedyacservice.com, and we have request forms there. You can check us out. You can check out our Google reviews, Facebook, Yelp, Better Business Bureau.
We are out of time. We'll see you next week.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.